the three requests were, number one, be loyal. Number two, let the Mike Flynn thing go. He's a good guy. He's been treated unfairly. And number three, can you please tell the American people what these leaders in Congress already know, what you already know, what you've told me 3 times, that I'm not personally under investigation?
Those are the 3 things he asked. Yes, sir.
You know, this investigation is full of leaks left and right. I mean, we've learned more from the newspapers sometimes than we do from our open hearings, for sure. Do you ever wonder why, of all the things in this investigation, the only thing that's never been leaked is the fact that the president was not personally under investigation, despite the fact that both Democrats and Republicans and the leadership of Congress knew that and have known that for weeks?
I don't know.
All right, let me give you the lay of the land here at the outset, folks. Nothing is going to change. The former FBI director, the admitted coward, James Comey, afraid to be in a room alone with Donald Trump, is giving ammunition to both sides here. He made sure to drop some news on what he thought of Loretta Lynch, trying to get him to change the name of the investigation to a matter. The bottom line, nothing's going to change. He's told the Democrats and the media just enough for them to continue their narrative that Trump's scum and a pig and violated the law. And he has given the Republicans enough ammo to take the position Trump didn't do anything. In other words, nothing is going to change here. When this is all over, nobody in the media is going to say, you know what, we blew it, even though the CNN had to. CNN's gone pathological. Total pathological on this. And they're going to be pathological tomorrow. They're going to be pathological tonight, because nothing today is going to result in the media or the Democrats gulping and saying, gee, we got this wrong. It's not, I mean, the evidence is there that they got it wrong, but the way Comey is explaining it to them as though he is Sigmund Freud, able to read minds, all he has to do is just throw them some crumbs here to keep their narrative going, and that's what he's done. And he's done some of that for the Republicans as well. But given that, I mean, I could, after having said that, I could eliminate all discussion on this today, because there's really nothing more to tell you. But that's not what we're going to do. We're still going to break it down for you, because it is I, El Rushbo, able to read the stitches on the fastball, even now, after all these many years. There are some fascinating revelations that happened today, and it's sad that they're not going to change anything. Let me give you 2 basic things here that should end this, but they won't. James Comey admitted under oath, and we had it yesterday in the pre-release of his testimony, Donald Trump did not ask him to stop the Russian investigation. Therefore, there is no obstruction of justice. Furthermore, President Trump acknowledged that Comey might have a legitimate investigation of other people who perhaps did collude with the Russians when Trump was talking about the satellites. He means other people. And he acknowledged to Comey that if there's evidence somebody did something, we got to go find it. So he was in no way attempting to stop the investigation. He wasn't trying to shape it. He wasn't trying to misdirect it, redirect it. And Comey admitted so today. The other thing that we have learned that ought to eliminate all of this is that Comey affirmed what was in his pre-release testimony yesterday, that Donald Trump was not a target and never has been a target of the Russian collusion investigation. Trump told the truth, even though Comey says he's a liar. Comey came across as a whining, cowardly guy during some of his testimony here. But he admitted that he'd told Trump 3 times that Trump was not a target of the investigation. Donald Trump was understandably unhappy that Comey would not make this public. Donald Trump believed that if Comey would simply say that Trump is not a target here, that it would free Trump from the distractions and allow him to focus, and his regime to focus on the agenda at hand. Comey had also cleared Hillary Clinton. Hillary, when at July 5th press conference, which everybody saw, including Trump, Comey goes out there and lists her crimes and lists her violations of statute, and then says, but there's no intent. We couldn't find that she intended to break the law, and therefore no reasonable prosecutor would proceed. And then he closed the investigation. Now, the Russian investigation has not been closed. Comey said, and this is really thin, Comey said, and he talked about it with colleagues. And it's really strange, too. Some things he did tell colleagues and other things he didn't. Like when Trump asked him alone in the Oval Office, when Trump cleared the room, Comey says he got very frightened. He got very scared. This was unusual. He didn't know what was going to happen. And so after the meeting, he didn't tell anybody what Trump had said, even though he was highly suspicious. Why didn't he resign if it was that bad? Why didn't he tell anybody when he came out of the Oval Office? Why wasn't he happy he got out of there alive and unbruised if he was so afraid of Trump and being alone in the room with him? Comey said that the reason he didn't say publicly that Trump was not a target is because they had to leave room to change their minds. They had to leave open the possibility that Trump would become a target. They didn't want to be in the position of having to correct the record. What a bogus, absolutely bogus reason given for not announcing that the president was not a target. There's another thing we've learned here. It's hard to take one thing here and say it stands above all others in things that surprise and shock me, but this one's pretty close to the top, if not the top. This damn fake phony, made up out of thin air Russian dossier. Well, it actually wasn't Russian. It was written by an MI6 British agent. This totally made-up series of allegations. The Golden Shower dossier. This is the one where Trump supposedly rented a hotel room in Moscow used by Barack and Michelle Obama. And he hired some prostitutes to come in there and urinate on the bed, i.e. the Golden Shower. We've learned that Comey took that seriously. We have learned prior to today that dunderhead John Brennan, Obama's CIA director, took it seriously, that he thought it formed the basis of a legit investigation. This is the dossier that BuzzFeed published in toto, having to admit nobody could confirm anything in it because none of it was true. BuzzFeed says, but we think you, the American people, need to see this just to see that kind of stuff. That's not why they did it. And so we have two of the preeminent intel and investigative agencies in our country, Comey at the FBI, Brennan at the CIA, acknowledging that a bogus, fake, totally unlegit, illegitimate document formed the basis for all of this that comprises this silly soap opera that we've been subjected to as a nation for the last 9 months. That's got to be at the top of the list of things that boggles the mind the most. I also think this. I think after listening to Comey today, and this has been an experience for me, the guy's admitted that maybe he didn't have enough courage to stand up to Trump. Maybe he was a little scared. The guy runs the freaking FBI. He's the FBI director. At any rate, this entire thing, I think, is rooted in the fact that Donald Trump speaks a foreign language from what is spoken in Washington. Trump shows up in Washington and he speaks the way he speaks. He can be New York tough guy. He can be standard, ordinary, everyday American male. But one thing Trump is not is precise and careful and defensive and politically correct. And everybody in Washington is. Everybody in Washington speaks completely on the defensive. Everybody in Washington has a bit of victimhood in them. And so the way they speak, in many ways, is designed to evoke sympathy, but you don't have a lot of tough talkers in that town. That's why when you encounter one, they stand out so much. So Trump shows up. He invites Comey into the Oval Office, and Comey starts quaking in his boots. What does he want? What does he want? What does he want? Oh, God. Oh, God. And Trump says, "Yeah, I hope you can let this Flynn thing go." Now, what is Comey here? Well, you'll hear in the audio someday, Comey heard all kinds of things that Trump didn't say. That's why Comey said, well, not with his words, Senator. No, not in his words. Well, what the hell else was going on in there? Are you a mind reader? Look, I'm serious, folks. What? I think they speak different languages, and Comey is admitting he has to try to read minds here to understand what Trump is saying. So you have an admitted coward and somebody who's admittedly afraid to be alone in a room with the guy now trying to tell us what Trump really meant. I don't think, and Donald Trump Jr. has tweeted this, I don't think anybody's ever talked to Donald Trump has ever not understood what the guy means. If there's one guy that hits you between the eyes with what he wants, means, and says, it's Donald J. Trump. There's no beating around the bush with the guy. I'll give you another example of this. When Trump makes the joke about, hey, Russians, maybe you could find Hillary's 30,000 emails, and when you find them, would you hand them to the media? Do you realize all of Washington thought that he was urging the Russians to hack Democrat computers? And he was cracking a joke. He was mocking them. He was laughing at them. He was making fun of their hand-wringing, girly now type attitude that a lot of Washington, D.C. men seem to possess. Afraid of everything. Afraid of this, of politically correct fear. So Trump says, hey, Russia, maybe you can find the emails. And they have a react. They had no idea. They actually thought he was encouraged. They've lost sense of humor. They don't understand satire and parody. It's hopeless. Comedy on the left has become hate. If American leftist comedians are not saying hateful things, then nobody's going to think they're any good or funny. Why does nobody entertain the possibility Comey might be lying? You know, Comey is protected. No matter what Comey says, everybody's just accepting it as gospel. But again, I have to remind you, none of this matters. I mean, even if we have a bunch of leftists listening today, anything I've said here is not going to change their mind, just going to make them hate me more. The narrative isn't going to change. You know what? CNN, look at their graphic. Trump administration lied about me and FBI. Comey, that, by the way, is one of the first things Comey said. His feelings were hurt. My feelings are really hurt. The president lied about me. He lied about the FBI. And I just want to you agents of the FBI, I have never been honored more. And I have never been happier. And I have never been more proud to work with a great bunch of people like you. And it really hurt my feelings when the president lied about me and lied about you. Save me. What is this? Boys Nation? What are we, a bunch of 16-year-olds here? Anyway, CNN's been running that graphic. That's the big news to them, that Comey said that Trump administration lied about me and the FBI. So that's what I mean. CNN, as far as they're concerned, no need to change anything here because Comey admitted that Trump lied. Period. Doesn't matter about what. So we have audio soundbites. We're going to do this, folks. Understand this, but I'm just telling you that Trump has been fully exonerated of everything you think based on the media he did. He has been fully exonerated, and damn it, it's not going to change anything. Marco Rubio made another great point as he was wrapping up his question and answer period with James Comey. He said to the former FBI director, he says, you know, it seems like everything from your office leaked except the fact that the president was not under investigation. Now, stop. Isn't that not dead on? Everything and whatever has been made up has been leaked about this investigation. Every damn aspect of it, except that the president was never a target. Of all the things, that never leaked. What does that tell you? That tells you that all of these leaks were studied, they were tactical, they were strategic, they were timed, and they were intended and purposeful. Because the one leaked bit of information that would have thrown all of this upside down, president's not a target. Imagine if that had leaked back in December, back in November. Where would we be today if that had leaked? You know, the Flynn investigation, you know what this is about? This is going to make you even angrier. They don't have any evidence on Flynn. They're going after Flynn for lying to prosecute. They're going after Flynn on a process charge. That's what they're trying to set up. Now, it's a felony to lie to investigators. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to exonerate Flynn. My point is, since late last year, they have been trying, the Washington establishment, the media, have been attempting to get you and me and everybody to believe that Michael Flynn sold out this country. That Michael Flynn was talking to the Russians about things he shouldn't have been saying and doing. And he was making promises to the Russians that he shouldn't have been promising. And it was all in furtherance of the fact that Trump and the Russians were, in fact, colluding, and Flynn was one of the agents, and that's what they want you to believe. They don't have any evidence of any of that, even after unmasking Flynn with all of these phone calls that he was discovered to be on with wiretaps of the Russian ambassador. They have no hard evidence of actual behavioral criminal conduct by Michael Flynn. They're still in pursuit of what is called a process crime. Same thing that sent Martha Stewart to jail. I'll tell you one other thing as you continue to watch this. You will note that during the question and answer period with all these senators, occasionally a question will be asked, and Comey will say, Senator, I can't address that in open session. Senator, I must reserve that for our closed session later today. I've seen every instance of that this morning, and I'm going to tell you what I think. I think those answers provide further exoneration of Trump and his people. And that is why Comey does not want to provide those answers in public. Because the answers to those questions, and mostly they're coming from Democrats, some Republicans, but mostly they are questions to which the answers are helpful to Trump. So when Comey says, I'm sorry, Senator, I really can't address that in open session, I want you to think that that's probably the reason why. We will continue right after this. Anyway, we later learned that Comey only started writing memos after he met Trump. Because he thought Trump was a liar. And he thought Trump was a mean person. Because Trump was lying about him and lying about the FBI. And so what did our brave young FBI director do? Well, he called a buddy of his at the Columbia School of Journalism, Columbia University, and asked him to share his memos. This is not sharing anything. This is leak. Comey leaked his own memos through a third party, and they ended up as news stories. And he's a leaker. He admitted that he leaked documents that were his and in his possession, and he wanted them out there. And do you know why he leaked them? He admitted that. Because he wanted a special counsel named. He wanted an independent prosecutor. He wanted somebody to take over. Once he had been fired, he wanted somebody to look into this. Now, when I say don't get all hot to trot about it, I know you're going to pay attention to it, but my only point is don't get caught up in it to the point that you expect it's going to change things, because it isn't.